So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our afternoon session today on accelerating your Microsoft 365 deployment with partners in FastTrack. My name is Matt Goddard. I'm a Senior Partner Marketing Manager on our Microsoft 365 partner team, and I'm joined...
Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Shires. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager. I work on our Office 365 commercial usage team. Sorry, it's pretty loud. Make sure you're all awake after lunch. And the thing I focus on is delivering our FastTrack experiences. And so all about today, we want to talk about how FastTrack resources, the people together, how you build your team up together with yourself and partners and FastTrack to get to M365 quickly.
Yeah, so specifically, I think the one thing that we really wanted to provide today was really clarity around, how does FastTrack work and what your expectations of FastTrack should be, as well as what your expectations should be of our vast network of Microsoft partners as we look at your journey to Microsoft 365. So to get started, we want to show the infamous Microsoft 365 slide. You probably have all seen this at least at one point or another this week. But just wanted to ground everyone into really what we're talking about here. So when we talk about Microsoft 365, we're talking about that unique combination of Office 365, Windows 10, and enterprise mobility and security coming together to give you that complete, intelligent, secure solution to empower your employees. Right? So with the combination of those three products, you're really able to unlock creativity, really enable teamwork to happen, provide it in a very integrated and simplistic experience, and of course have security wrapped around all of that. So as you start thinking about your journey to Microsoft 365, we're going to kind of talk through this today in a little bit of an analogy, right? And thinking about your trip that you guys took to Ignite. All right, because it's very, very similar. So when you think about your journey to Microsoft 365, you can think of it really as any trip that you've ever taken or vacation you've taken. And when you think about going on a trip, all right, there's a couple outcomes I think we all expect. I know I certainly do. So the first thing is you want to get there fast. So anytime you're traveling, you want to get there fast. All right, I know for me, I want to make sure I get a direct flight. I don't want to take a layover if I don't have to. I want to travel with ease. I don't want to show up to the airport and realize, I don't have my ID, right? And of course, I want to get the most out of it. So as all of you are here today, you guys are sitting in the session because you're getting the most out of Ignite. The same is true when you think about your journey to Microsoft 365, right? We want to make sure that we're going to equip you with the tools, the resources, and access to the people to make sure that you get there quickly, make sure that you minimize the number of bumps along the way, and that you're able to really consume all the value that those services are able to provide you and your end users. So we're going to really talk today a little bit about what that looks like and how it's all going to come together. So as you think about the journey, there's really a process, right? We have to plan, all right? So the first thing that we need to focus on is planning, and we're going to kind of double-click into each one of these as we go through this presentation today. But the first thing we obviously want to focus on is planning, making sure that we are ready to go. All right. Then we're going to focus on getting started. What does it look like to actually begin that journey and start getting hands-on and going through that experience? And then finally, at the very end, we're going to think about how do you get the most value out of the services that you've essentially turned on. So just to make this really practical for you, you can think of this as the infinite process that you're going to go through for all of the different services, right? It's a cyclical thing. And we're going to kind of talk through these three steps throughout this presentation, and again, what resources and content and investments Microsoft is making, as well as how partners really fit into the picture to add and extend value throughout this process. So when you think about the journey that you're all going to go on at one point or another to get to Microsoft 365, it all starts with you as the customer. And there's a few expectations, right, that you have as the customer. All right, and in this analogy, you're the happy traveler, right? You're the one going on this journey where you ultimately want to have a great experience. The first thing that you need to do as the customer, right, is organize your team, right? This is probably the most critical point or the critical thing that you need to focus on is organizing the team, bringing the right people together to make sure that you're going to be able to be successful. The second thing that's really important is you're the one that's going to be defining the vision, right? The direction in which your organization is going to go and really what that ultimate destination is going to be, right? Is it Office 365? Is it Enterprise Mobility and Security? Or is it the combination, and we're going to go full force with Microsoft 365 all at once? And then you're also going to be the ones that are on the hook to make it happen, right? At the end of the day, you're the ones that are going to be responsible. So when you think about where this journey all begins, it really begins with you as the customer and focusing on these three things. So if we double click on organizing the team, we truly believe that the best outcome for customers comes when these three parties come together, all right? We actually see in the data and in the statistics that when these three parties come together, our customers are actually much more successful in their move and in their rollout. They're able to do it much quicker, and they're able to actually see higher levels of adoption at the end of the day, all right? So when we think of who this team is, right, again, it all starts with you. There's certainly going to be an aspect of bringing the team together within your own internal organization. Who are the stakeholders, who are the right folks involved to make it happen? But you also have FastTrack, all right? And just by a show of hands, how many are familiar or maybe have engaged with FastTrack over the course of time? Awesome. You could think of FastTrack as your travel agent, right? They're going to be there to support you every step of the way and are going to provide you a number of different resources and guidance. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But just to kind of give the full picture here, that they're your travel agent. Then you have our vast network of Microsoft partners, all right? And these folks are your on-site experts when you think about this journey, all right? They're going to be able to provide a tremendous amount of value and go a lot deeper on things with you because they have that level of expertise. And it's really, again, the combination of these three roles where you have this three-way partnership where you'll be able to be really successful. And depending on your organization, right, your level in which you're going to engage with your partners or with FastTrack or the level of engagement you're going to have as the customer getting hands-on will certainly be different, right, depending on your environment and your organization. But again, it's really through this unique combination that you're really going to bring value and be able to get to Microsoft 365 quicker. So if we double click on FastTrack and the FastTrack team, right, this is your travel agent throughout this process. There's really three things that FastTrack is going to be able to provide you and your organization. One is resources and best practices, all right? So at Microsoft, we're investing heavily in providing all of the content and the best practices so that you have access to that every step of the way. They're also going to be able to provide you with practical guidance. They've been there, they've done it time and time again, all right? So we're really going to be able to provide the guidance that you all need to be successful, and it's certainly coming from someone that has done it multiple times and has seen it all. And for customers who have more than 50 licenses of an eligible service, you also get remote assistance from the FastTrack team, right? So not only is some of this content self-service, but you'll actually have a direct connection within our FastTrack engineering team to be able to provide you with additional guidance and practical expertise along the way. So that's the FastTrack team. When you think about our partners, right, our partners are those on-site experts in this journey. They're going to be your specialists. They're going to be the ones that actually get hands-on with you. All right? So again, this all comes down to what's your level of comfort and how do you think about this journey, right? Do you want to get hands-on or do you want to let someone else really kind of step in and be able to accelerate things? They're going to be able to help really with the implementation. And they're able to go a lot deeper, all right? So when we think about all of the value that our partners are able to bring, if you want to drive change management, right, your partners are going to be able to provide that level of expertise. If there's a complex scenario within your environment, they're going to be able to help overcome some of the challenges that you're going to experience. So ultimately, that's how you should be thinking about the team, right? So you're going to have those three components between FastTrack, partners, and yourself. And we're going to kind of go through this journey now as we plan, get started, and experience. So I'll turn it over to Brian now to explain kind of the first step here.
Thanks, Matt. Quick show of hands. I would assume everybody's at a different stage of moving to Microsoft 365 or one of the Office or Windows or EMS. Kind of how many are still in the planning stage of that move? The vast majority? Okay, great. I think that helps kind of ground where we're at here. And as you plan, there's different, we'll tie it back to your travel story. There's a few things you're going to do to plan this out. First, if you're going to Ignite, want to discover, hey, it's going on. I want to go self-discover these things. As I figured out I want to go to Ignite, or if I want to go to M365, I then wanted to preview those things. I want to see what that journey is going to look like. I want to see what I can get out of that. And then ultimately, I want to get an itinerary together. And so we're going to show you how you do that process with these players for Microsoft 365. So how many of you already heard of this thing called Productivity Library this week? It's been in several sessions. All right, just a handful. It's great. We get to introduce this to you. So the primary way that we can help you discover what's possible in Microsoft 365 is an investment we've made called Productivity Library. And it is available for you to self-service, come explore, find out. And then also gives you the ability to easily share. And we'll go into a demo of this here in a few minutes. And things are arranged around business scenarios. So one of the surveys we went and did to several of our customers who've been through the FastTrack team said, hey, after we've been through this, I think it was most helpful is we can actually talk about the ultimate scenario. Don't just tell me, don't just give me guidance on Exchange or OneDrive for Business, but describe it in a way that my end user is going to talk about, that my business is going to be asking for. So you're going to see a big pivot in Productivity Library around those things. And then ultimately, for each of those business scenarios, we're going to show you what products are there, how to use those products, and then give you the resources that you can use later in this process to actually drive that value and to actually get adoption going. So let's switch over to demo machine here. And so you saw there I had a short link there. One thing I'll say is you can begin, easy to remember, just go to fasttrack.microsoft.com. So we have a hub for Microsoft 365. There's a couple ways to find this. And one of the ways we like to help bring kind of order to this huge set of capabilities that sits within Microsoft 365 is this notion of core capabilities, and this is the typical way we see a lot of customers doing it. It's not getting down to I want to turn on one workload, but I want to project around improving collaboration, or I want to roll out devices, or I want to improve my security. So I actually have bucketed that content around these pillars. So if I start from collaboration, we're going to take you through this whole journey for each and every one of these. And we begin in FastTrack, this planning is referred to as Envision. You see right here, we start surfacing some of those likely cards, likely scenarios your team is probably looking for, providing chat-based workspace. So this is just our entry point. And so if you know how to do this, I can then jump into the Productivity Library proper itself. So this is the screenshot you saw earlier. So when I get here, there's about 200 cards. I think we're publishing some more this week. We'll get up to that level. And you can see here, I have them organized, or I have multiple ways of looking at these cards. I can look at them and filter them based on those capabilities. I can do it by industry, so we actually tag those cards, which scenarios are most relevant to a given industry, and then you can do it by functional role. And of course, hey, there's still a lot of needs. I just want to go drive Teams usage, or I want to go see what's possible with that product. So I'm just going to choose to say, let's search for Teams. Make sure our connection's working here. So it's going to go out and query up what cards do I have available for Teams. Maybe the demo gods are with us today. And here it searches. There we go. So it's brought back a list of cards that somehow in the list of activities, you notice here that it's not just saying go turn this on, but ultimately things for hospitality industry or very functional type of things. But there's also kind of these core scenarios. So let's drill in, given a lot of discussion this week about Teams, let's provide a chat-based workspace. That's functionally what this is about. So I drill into that. First, it's going to begin with an intro of what does that scenario mean, and then go walk through hey, here's what that scenario, here's how you can use it. And what it's going to do is walk you through those and link you off to the relevant training, so I can actually get that first understanding of what's there. So discovering what the product can do, and then from there, if this is the right scenario for you, we're beginning this journey, we're starting to then say, great, if you want to do that scenario, there's a set of guidance that we're going to recommend of how to get started with that. And so for Teams and Skype for Business are our first investments here. We'll take you to that practical guidance. Here's how you would actually begin thinking of setting it up. Again, we'll get in later about how we can actually help you, but a lot of times, like myself, I just want to understand what it is, be knowledgeable about it before I even get started. So we have that content there. And then lastly here is the set of resources that are available in context to this scenario. And so we break it down by the phase that you can see or that you're going to go through. So, hey, I'm going to raise some awareness. I want to actually roll this out. These are customizable templates. You go download. You can make them your own. You don't have to start from scratch. And this is available across 15 different core scenarios where you have this bulk of communication templates, awareness templates, and then ultimately the supporting resources for you. The other thing I was going to highlight is, and I've already done this, you notice here I can do this notion of adding things, adding to my cards. You can see here I actually have two cards in my card. So I mentioned before, like you're going to use this for self-discovery. At some point, you're going to say, hey, I want to share this with my colleague. I think these are the types of scenarios we want to do. And you don't want to just point them here and say, good luck, try to find those cards out of that couple hundred we had. You can actually take these cards and create your own customized package and just share those out. And you can share them in very different mediums. But you get this notion, they're going to get a sharing link saying, Brian wants you to check out these scenarios that we think we could roll out. And they're going to get directed right here. And you can then talk about those same things. And again, making it easy for you to come back to this later and say, oh, yep, we're actually at a stage where I want that card, or I want to take this that set of resources and take those offline and be able to go roll forward with those. So a big investment will continue to expand this library of content, both the number of scenarios, the industries, and then also the other big investment we're trying to make here is around the IT guidance. So I give you that as I discover it, see what it can do, see what training's available, and then get you started on understanding what it takes to actually roll that out. So that is all about discovery, right? So we've done all that just to help you understand what's possible with M365, because it's such a big swath of things that are available to you. Once I have that figured out, I'm going to need a way to actually preview that. And Matt, if you want to take us through ways we can help you actually kind of preview what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that you've kind of gone through that self-service discovery and you've learned exactly what are the scenarios that are most aligned with what you're trying to accomplish, then there's a number of other different tools and resources that you can access. And this is a really great opportunity for you to work with one of our Microsoft partners to help you go a little bit deeper and get hands-on. The first thing that we certainly enable you to do with a partner is go through what we call a value discovery workshop. All right, and this again takes the scenarios that you've identified previously through the productivity library and extend on that, right? Taking a look at those particular functions, but also map those back to what value as an organization can you receive from them. So basically going through this workshop, right, with your partner, you'll be able to really go much more in depth on some of these things. And the outcomes of this will actually come with a workshop report. Providing you with recommendations on, prioritizing your implementation, what things should you be focusing on based on the needs of your organizations and what things you care about most. And it also provides an industry spin to it. So we're actually able to put this in context within the industry that you're in specifically, as well as understanding the financial impact that some of these things will have on your organization, right? What are some of the cost savings? And we leverage the Forrester study, total economic index to be able to figure out exactly what are the cost savings or the value that you're going to derive from this. Once you do that, right, then you have the opportunity to really dive in even deeper and get really hands-on with the product. And you certainly could stand up a trial tenant of Office 365 or Enterprise Mobility and Security or test out Windows. But there's actually a better way in which to really immerse yourself into the experience, and that's through the customer immersion experience. And again, this is a really great opportunity for you to connect with one of our Microsoft partners to be able to deliver this to you. And the customer immersion experience basically allows you to have a persona and experience the full breadth of Microsoft 365 in a virtual environment. All right, so you'll be able to see what does Teams look like on a Windows 10 machine with all of the different security features enabled. And you can actually go through that not only with you as an administrator, but you can actually bring other folks or stakeholders within your organizations, folks from the different lines of business, to actually explore and take on that specific persona so that they could understand the value that they'd be able to get out of this once it was actually implemented. So both are really, really awesome opportunities. Again, we have a great network of partners who can help to deliver both of these to you. But really great to really get hands-on and understand. And again, it's much more enriched because it is populated with all the content and resources that you'd expect from a functioning environment versus just standing up a blank trial tenant as an example. So really great stuff there. Really provides you deep engagement, and you really get to be hands-on with the product itself. You could take a look at some of these resources at transform.microsoft.com. Some of the stuff is self-service, so you could certainly do some of these things yourself. But again, we certainly do recommend engaging with the partners. They're going to be able to have that expertise. They've run through these workshops. They've run through these customer immersion experiences before, and they'll be able to really provide a very robust demonstration of those things. So really great opportunity there.
Yeah, and to add on to that, the other piece that we've gone through that discovery phase and into the preview phase, like we work closely together as part of the FastTrack program. Like there is a consistent set of scenarios. So if you've discovered those things, you'd have insights to those, and you actually can then begin your value discovery workshop or your CIE experience to say, yeah, I've already discovered, I'm most interested in these. Let's talk about how those things kind of fit together. So we've talked about planning and previewing. I got it, I know what I want to do. I actually want to get my itinerary together. I want to know how I'm going to get to M365. There's always the notion here of we need to begin with the requirements. And this is based on 40,000 plus customer engagements in the FastTrack team. Like at minimum, to get started, if you're a customer coming to us, we need these things. We have to create acronyms for everything. We refer to these as DIBs. I think you might hear that in other sessions, but that's what we're after here, is like to actually build that itinerary, begin with these requirements. Like, when is it going to happen? What's it about? The intent? Like, do we have the right people, or do we have the right buy-in? What's the reason I'm doing this? And then ultimately, a term we refer to as success owner. Think of it just the person who's most responsible for overseeing the success or the full implementation of this. And some organizations, that turns out to be in IT. Sometimes it's maybe somebody in the business. So there isn't a strict rule there, but think of who has the ownership of ensuring that this is successful. We'll talk more about a bigger team. There isn't just one person who's going to do it all, but ultimately who's the person who's going to keep this moving forward. So if we've seen this with our engagements in FastTrack, we said, great, but there's this set of customers that goes faster. And we went back and looked in what was the consistent thing that was going on there. And ultimately, the customers that would move fastest also added these things we call success factors. Again, our acronym for that is SSAT. I love my acronyms. But ultimately, it's really some fundamental things of, great, beyond that success owner, I need a little bit larger set of stakeholders. I have the right technical contacts, I have the exec buy-in, and then I want to empower these, we refer to as champions. If you're on the FastTrack site, we'll talk to you about what a champion is, but ultimately the person who's invested and wants to help or within their org adopt these things. And for IT, it becomes your partner of, hey, I want to get these things rolled out. And there was a McKinsey study not that long ago that was, most employees, if you roll the technology out, they're by default not going to want to take it. They need to see how it's going to apply to them, and champions are a big part of that. So stakeholders, and then the scenarios, right? This ties into where we started with the discover and preview phase. I want to know exactly what scenarios you're going to want to roll out. So yes, you have intent to go to M365. Maybe you have intent to use Office 365. But which specific scenario do you want to do? Do you want to do collaboration? Do you want to do chat-based workspace? What are those scenarios you're actually wanting to drive? And those should have specific criteria that we can ultimately measure. We can help you measure through the product. And then ultimately, the other pieces that are super important is making sure you have a plan in place and you're beginning right in the beginning. I want to do these scenarios. I want to get buy-in from these people. How do I get awareness? How do I get training? So all this leads up to an asset that this is the input and this is our model that we use to say when we build this thing called a customer success plan. And what I'm showing you is to be rolled out tonight. So right now, if you were to log in the FastTrack site, you'd see we were coming from a legacy world. We had Office and EMS and Windows things as silos. So what we're introducing now is a notion of let's let you create a plan at the M365 level. So I'll just do some walkthroughs here on the screens. So create a success plan. You notice FastTrack. FastTrack, while this session is about M365, it also is the same resource, same general process applied to Azure and Dynamics 365. So I can create that M365 plan. Once I create that plan, and this is like kind of a snippet of it, remember we talked about, at minimum, I want to simplify this. I want you to get started with the requirements. So I just want to know those scenarios, and below this is your intent. And then I want to know your timeline. What's your due date for these things? And we'll ask kind of, by the scenario you pick, when do you want to get this rolled out? Maybe it's all the same, or maybe you're going to do a few different scenarios in a different order. And then ultimately get into the contacts, which is the success owner, the business owner by each of those roles, and then ultimately the technical owner, because at some point we want to talk to the person. If we want to move mailboxes, we want to know who the Exchange admin is, or I want to know who the networking person is. So it's going to help you understand those things. So as I complete that, it makes it very simple. It's a way to take those learnings from all of our engagements with our customers through the FastTrack team and say, well, let's just make sure we're getting all those things gathered, and think of it as twofold. It does, one, gets you to do the right rigor of capturing those right things, thinking through, like, yeah, really, who is the owner of this, and when do we want to do these, and what are the capabilities we want? Once that's done, that's your engagement. We'll look at it in a minute of how that big green button there to go get started. But then there's accelerators, and we're going to say that I don't want to make you go do all the accelerators in day one. So begin with this, and then these optional pieces for the additional onboarding planning. We talked about awareness, we talked about training. There's the templates in there to help you understand that, all based off our M365 adoption guide. And so it helps you actually carry those out, get your timeline to think about how many weeks before rollout do I want to do these different activities, who should be involved in those, and then from an onboarding perspective, let's help you think about where you're at and where you want to go. And then a bonus element of this, to give you an extra incentive to come get into FastTrack, is when you're ready to document your plan, another asset that becomes available to you. We had those we had those awareness and communication templates in Productivity Library, and it had links, right? You saw like step 1, go here, and it had a link off to some training. A very common request we kept getting from customers was, hey, that's great, but I don't want my customer to have to go out to support.office.com, which is where most all those are at. And it said, can you make those resources available for me to put into my own assets? So that's what I'm showing here is, well, once you create a success plan, right at the top, you'll have that training resources link. That'll pop open and say, yeah, you agree to, you're taking these offline, so you have a point-in-time version of this. But you can go package these up. And we've seen different customers choose to put it into their own portal, put in their own training assets. And it's broken out by scenarios, or you can have a pivot for products. And the product pivot right now is around the client apps. We're working with our training friends to continue to expand that as we go forward. So that's an additional added bonus, added content. If you need it, it becomes available by going through this whole process. And we don't understand what you're planning to do, and then we can actually make sure we're getting the right content served up out there. And then it'll give you directions. If you don't want to host it locally, you can just embed the stuff that's on support.office.com. We'll give you the little write-up there how to do that as well. So at the end of this, you have a very succinct set of things that delivers those core requirements and accelerators. We have what we need to get you engaged. So this is kind of leads you into the next phase, but I'm going to call out tomorrow at 10:45, my colleagues is doing a session on that whole topic, how exactly to build that out. Here's all the things to think about. So I'll walk you through step by step of actually how to execute that and how to get the most value of actually building that out. But Matt, let's talk about where we go next on our journey.
And the only thing I want to call out, regarding the success plan, the other beautiful thing behind it is it's a central location to capture this information. And not only you as the customer have access to it, but your actually internal field stakeholders, so your account teams that you might work with, or your partners that you might be engaged with, also have access to that, right? You're able to provide access, so you're all able to co-author and work together. So it's not just on you to kind of build this plan. You certainly can as a self-service resource, but know that you can actually kind of co-author in a way with the other folks that you're going to be partnering with on this journey. And when you actually get ready, which actually is a good transition, as you get ready to check in, right, connect with the FastTrack team, again, this is a plan that they'll be able to look back on and understand what your requirements are, so that you don't need to go through that whole process of kind of telling them where you're at or what you're interested in, right? It helps to expedite the process. So I just want to call that out. So now that you've kind of gone through the whole planning portion of your trip or your journey, you kind of move on to the point where you want to start. All right, you want to actually get hands-on, you want to begin the rollout, and you could think of this as in 3 stages, right? The first thing you want to do is check in, right? Again, you want to check in with the FastTrack team, get those resources assigned to you, and make sure that you and your partner in FastTrack kind of begin on this journey together. Then you're ultimately going to go through the implementation process, right? And we're going to go real in-depth here as far as what are the process steps within that travel phase. And then ultimately, at the end of this, right, you've arrived to your final destination, right? You ultimately should have your services turned on, and you should be ready to start using. So we're going to walk through some of these really quickly with you. So the first thing is checking in. So if you go back to actually what Brian was saying around the success plan, when you finish your success plan, there's actually a beautiful button that says Request Assistance. All right, so if at that point in time you're ready to kind of check in with FastTrack and get engaged, you can hit that button, and all of that information that's in the success plan will actually pre-populate into the request form. So again, you're not refilling out information, so it makes the process a lot easier. Alternatively, right, if you kind of work on your plan a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago, and you're now ready to engage, you got all your ducks in a row, you could actually go to this link, aka.ms/m365 FastTrack Assistance, and it will bring you directly to the request form. And again, the really great opportunity here is if you have a success plan created, you could attach it to this request form, and all that information will pre-populate. Your partners also have the opportunity to submit this request on your behalf, right? So again, this is something you certainly can fill out and submit, but your partner can take ownership and submit on your behalf. And again, this thing is specifically for customers who have 150 licenses of an eligible subscription to be able to engage with the FastTrack team to be able to take advantage of that particular service. So now we're going to turn it over to Brian, who will actually go through kind of what the travel experience looks like end to end. So what does it look like to work with the FastTrack team as well as your partners as you go through the implementation phase?
All right, so we've already touched on the planning pieces, but just kind of acknowledging, if we look at the all-up kind of map of where we want to go. We've done the planning, we've initiated, but now we're going to take a look at, great, we're going to do these activities of onboarding. We're actually going to begin this travel piece and break it down into 3 core components or 3 core phases. We're going to help you assess, where are you at today? We're going to give you the guidance on remediation. We'll talk about what FastTrack can do there, where a partner or your expertise will come into play, and then how do we actually turn on that service. And for selected services, right, there's, if I'm doing mail or I'm doing SharePoint, I'm going to actually want to move my data. So there's migration services that will be involved. And then at the end, we know we're going to have to drive adoption. It doesn't mean that we don't think about adoption throughout this. We want to start putting that plan in place, but ultimately the actual act of going out and making sure that we get user engagement is going to occur at the end. The other piece I'll call out is within onboarding, there's definitely variations of how we approach onboarding for Office, EMS, and Windows. And if you get this deck, there's links off to a very in-depth, we refer to as a service description for the FastTrack service and for Office and EMS. And you're going to see as we go through the rest, we'll double-click into each of these phases. of what we're doing, what guidance is being provided for Office and EMS. Windows turns out at this time to really just be a different set of needs that are there. And it's purple here because we recommend that is the best thing to do. If I'm going to need to roll out Windows, I'm going to recommend that you go out and engage with a partner. And they can, from the get-go, begin with things we refer to as Windows 10 pilots and POCs to get you going. But we'll talk about today like how that all fits together. So I'm doing a M365 powered device, which includes Office and Office 365 Pro Plus and Intune. We're going to make those things all work together. So that's the other kind of core piece is throughout this piece, I want to make sure it's very clear that we're not saying FastTrack just does this, or it's not FastTrack versus a partner. It's ultimately how do they work together, and they're going to complement each other, and they can leverage each other through the process. So let's get started with assess. Assess, really current environment assessment, where are you at in your infrastructure, based on where you want to go, and then ultimately, this is the stage where we actually begin that initial discussion about what do you need to think about for your adoption plan. So quick recap here of the activities, the things on the left here that the FastTrack team does. And they're going to provide the guidance and access to the tools, right? The tools are published, and there's not like a special set of tribal knowledge that goes on here with those tools. They're going to make sure you know the right tools to be going to start with. Some very simple examples, right? They're going to, if you're just getting started with the service, they're going to point you to like, hey, the first tool you need to go do is, and you've had a discussion that you have AD on-premise or in place, and you want to leverage that. Hey, we're going to make sure that it's at a level and the content in there is actually consistent with what the Azure AD requires. So there's a tool called ID Fix. They're going to not only direct you to that tool, they're going to then show you how to work it. And this is where it depends on your level of knowledge, depends on your skill set, or depends on if you've elected to have a partner there. They can literally walk you through a remote session like, you should click here. They're not going to actually drive in your environment, but they're going to give you that remote guidance to get these things, access to those things. And they're also going to, at this stage, be making you're going to be making some architectural decisions. And so they're going to give you that guidance to make some decisions about how do you think about identity. Like it's kind of the fundamental underpinning of where we want to start with the service. So they're going to help you make that decision. And it's going to determine out of the assessment what our next steps will be. And then, so the FastTrack team is able to provide the remote guidance, show you how to do it. If you want the expertise of someone to actually carry those out, maybe you already know how to do all these things. Maybe you're at a prior company who's been through this before, you can carry these out. But ultimately, maybe this is the first time and the only time you plan to move to the cloud, a partner can then be brought in to say, I want to execute this. I don't want to spend the weeks to know exactly how to do this. It's a one-time thing. So we want to plug in someone with that expertise to help me carry it out or at least validate how that's going. And then the other things that are going on here, this is kind of an important piece. Once I did that check-in, right, we assigned what we refer to as a FastTrack manager and a FastTrack engineer to you. So you have someone to call on, but they're not your project manager. It's your team, whether it be on the customer side or partner side, has to manage the overall flow or needs to manage that flow. And so those are the pieces you want to start getting in place. So they're going to identify and engage the right stakeholders and bring everybody together. And then ultimately, this FastTrack team will initiate a session referred to as a customer success workshop, where they get you thinking about what the activities that are core to your adoption plan, but actually carry out and develop the detailed plan that's an activity that you and the partner would work together to actually complete. So once I've done an assessment, the outcome of that moves us to the next stage, which is the remediation phase. So I have a list of things, and I need to go fix these. A couple of things we'll look at here is assessment populates a remediation checklist. And there's two ways it's going to happen. If you are below that 150 threshold, there's this thing called the deployment planning wizard. It'll walk you through essentially the same set of questions that the FastTrack engineer would walk you through. You can do that self-service. good sanity check to be able to do that. That's a wizard available within the Office 365 Admin Center. If you're engaged with the FastTrack team, they're going to have done these assessments. They're going to give you a customized report and say, great, based on what we've discovered, these are the, hopefully 5 items, hopefully not 20 items, of things that you actually have to go resolve with your environment. Like maybe it's go remove unroutable UPNs, or it's your clients aren't at the right level, or there's a network issue. They're going to give you the task list, guidance to like, here's our recommended best practices of how to go about fixing those things. Then you got to carry those out. And so the examples here is AD remediation or network remediation or app compat capabilities. And that's where you got to make that choice. Am I going to do this myself? Do I have the expertise? Do I need it done quickly? Or do I need an extra set of eyes to actually go do those things? And then the other part that's going on in this is that you really have to think of what else do you want to extend with? There's a set of capabilities that the FastTrack team looks for the core services. If your company is looking to do a bunch of line of business extensions, that's an area where you'll need your own expertise or partner expertise to be successful. So remediation typically turns out to be a lot of iteration back and forth, checking in, how are we doing these things, get that done. Ultimately, the outcome of that is we agree that you've made you're ready to go list, and we're ready to go start enabling things. So in the enable phase, very simply, is we want to turn on the services. We want to set up the users, and those users have access to the services for the scenarios that you actually figured out in your plan. So I've broken this down into, there's a core set of service enablement things we do, regardless of what scenario you picked. We're going to help you. And again, this is remote guidance. And I say, and this has been done tens of thousands of times. We can tell you, hey, here's what you need to do for your network. Here's what you need to do for DNS. Here's connectivity information. It's all remote guidance. But they, again, can remote drive and give you the right information to do that. But then there's a set of specific activities where they'll offer given this service or workload. So whether that be Intune, whether that be Exchange, they'll give you that guidance as well. We'll look at an example of one of those here in a minute. And there's a series of setup guides that will help you here, and we'll look at that in a minute. And then obviously the implementation of those configurations, right? We can't configure your DNS for you. We can't upgrade your clients for you, or we can't provision these things for you, or carry out Windows deployments for you. So those are all the areas where you're going to get the guidance from FastTrack, you're going to get the check-ins, but also carrying those things out, you're going to want to use that specialist, that partner, or your own expertise to actually go do. So before we continue, obviously this, if I were to go into every workload, Exchange, OneDrive, Teams, Intune, it's going to be a very long, boring presentation. So I'm going to just say, we're going to give you an example. So say my scenario was I wanted to improve collaboration through moving mail and enabling Teams for chat. So we'll look at a couple examples of, okay, so you've said, we're going to help you with Exchange. In Exchange, that FastTrack team has done this thousands of times, and they're going to help you understand how to set up mail flow, how to, if you have Exchange on premises. And we'll have the discussion with you, like, what is the mail configuration that makes sense for you? And they'll guide you through setting up of hybrid. Now, maybe it turns out you need a patch on your on-premises Exchange server to work with Exchange Online Hybrid. Like those are the activities where I just simply refer to as implementation of service configurations. But they're going to guide you and give you not just hey, go read this TechNet article and figure out yourself. They're going to have that assessment. They've now developed a relationship with you and understand where you're at and give you that customized guidance. And then ultimately lead to one of our next steps, which will be giving you the guidance for mail migration, which will drive how you actually configure this. And then for if you're below that, right, below the 150 limit, or just want to try this on your own, there's the wizard for Exchange Online deployment, which will take you through those same set of activities, very similar, but they're available as a self-service option as well. It'll guide you through these things. So you don't have to go, our goal here is like you shouldn't have to go to Docs or TechNet and to go find these things. We're going to actually say, oh, you want to do this scenario? Let's actually guide you step by step through this. And then for our scenario, right, like I also wanted to do teams. And so for every service, we're going to do where we see we can add value, where it's repeatable things, where we can give you that guidance, get you past those tough hurdles. And the teams, fairly straightforward once I have all the core services enabled, but there's some unique things around the client. The client's different for teams, so we want to give you that guidance of, hey, here's how you think of it. You probably don't want to just let everybody just go download it on from the website. I want to show you how you can package that up. It's a different type of thing. And then kind of awareness of, hey, maybe you, in this example, you said you just want to do Exchange and Teams. So like, we're going to inform you of like, you making that decision, you can do that technically, but there's some trade-offs there, and what does the experience look like? And so we're going to or give you that kind of experience that we've been through that. And again, hey, the implementation of these configurations are going to happen. And the other thing we'd see, and you could really apply this to almost any workload, is, hey, I'm going to need expertise if I want to go do more. I want to go connect this into the business. And for teams, right, I'm extending with bots or extending with connectors or setting up a provisioning flow. That's where you'll need specialized guidance. So let's actually look at what this guidance looks like for teams. So let's jump over to this machine. So I'm doing all these things, these online things. And even if you're engaged with the FastTrack Center, they're likely going to point you to some of these wizards. So all the when I say a wizard, I'm talking about these wizards that exist within the Office 365 Admin Center. And there's a whole host of these. So I've just gone into the Admin Center. And let's start here. Oh, let's actually start the right one. This is all included in the deck, but if you want one kind of holistic view, there's a set of setup guides. And you see here everything from small business to Exchange to setting up identity with Intune and Azure AD. So there's wizards kind of across the components of M365. For this example, we're going to jump into the Teams wizard, or the Teams deployment guidance advisor. So it's going to take you step by step, and this is a good example of what these experiences look like. So it's going to branch along, like when I've already filled this in just to make this easier, it gives you an intro, great, I know what I'm doing. It's going to start asking you questions like, hey, did you need guidance setting up your domain? Because I don't know where you're coming from. If so, that's going to add a bunch of steps and show me how to do that. And it wants to know how you're going to add users. I've elected no to keep this flow simple and short, but ultimately I add those and it's going to bring in that relevant guidance. So it will respond to kind of where you're at. And then, service-specific things. So right now, it's, began with the core pieces. We know where you're coming from. I'm going to give you the guidance of like, here's how you do it. Turns out the guidance for the distributing this app is quite simple. It's a executable, and you can put it in whatever package you want. It's not part of Pro Plus. And then it takes you the next step beyond that. And we'll look at we showed you those downloadable resources. You can go package up. There's also making investments here of like, maybe I just want to get this out to a few users quickly. I want to introduce them to what's possible. And so great, I want to help them get started. There's some functional information in step 4, but in step 5, I'm actually going to just say I want to email all these folks. Let's just pick a few of them in my little tenant. And I can say, well, what do I want to send them? There's a host of different things. It uses the same templates that you have in Productivity Library. So let's actually pick the Teams one. So I want to use that. So if I go to the Productivity Library for cards, this is the same kind of introduction template that's available. I can then be ready to do this. I just pick my users and say, I would go ahead and deliver this on my behalf. So if I don't want to take the time to customize this and want to get a quick message out, I'm going to hit send. I've already done this. Let's not wait for the email to flow. So I've logged in as Brian, and I look in my inbox, and I'll have, here it comes from Microsoft Support. Welcome to Teams. You don't need to pop that up. So there's that template delivered for you. You don't have to go think of a merge program. Yeah, there's trade-offs here, right? I wasn't able to customize it. If I want to be able to customize the template and the communication, then I want to take the template and go do that myself. But we're giving you those options to say, maybe it's just like I'm doing an initial set of users, and I just want to get the basics to them today. It's something right from the wizard that I can actually go carry out and get ready to go. So that's a quick intro. Think of that wizard experience is going to vary totally based on what scenario or what service you're doing. So the investment there is from that team across those. And actually, I'll go back just to the main portal. And this is something that the team is working on, an improved way to discover these. So you actually see part of them right here. You have that setup link I showed you before. It's in the little tile. Notice that. The other one where you can see, I like this view better. I can go to setup and data migration. Bear with me there. It starts with data migration, but if you go just a little below that, it actually gives you onboarding and migration guidance for all the services. So there's a host of different ones in there. Having that kind of, I'll show you the secret path to get to those. And again, if you engage with the FastTrack team, they're going to help direct you here. But again, you have all these available to you just in the admin center, ready for you to go. Questions? Has anybody actually used any of these? All news? You never seen these? You like what you see? Wish we had more details probably. All right. So we've enabled. So at this point, I've enabled the core services with Exchange and Teams in my scenario. Where for mail, great, you set up mail flow. You can tell us you move somebody's mailbox, this thing isn't real. And there's, to make that transition easier, we've made an investment for our customers to say, yes, we give you that guidance, but for email and files, we have an actual service that's going to help you do that. So the FastTrack team for Exchange and SharePoint and OneDrive, it actually will move your files. Now, with a stipulation here, we should actually have it in the slide. The file migration service is available to customers with 500 or more active seats. Okay? And if we go into Exchange just for a minute, when we move to Exchange Online, we're going to move mail, we're going to move contacts and calendars from these source systems, from Exchange on-prem, from G Suite, from GroupWise, Notes. IMAP, the asterisk here is we're only going to move mail. We can't move calendar and contacts from an IMAP source. The piece that I'm going to jump, so FastTrack Center team can actually carry those out. There's a team that sits there and moves mailboxes, manages that whole process. There's activities required to do that. We can't just black box and go, oh, I know where your Exchange server is at. I'm just start moving mailboxes. First and foremost, we need somebody who understands the organization, understands, in the case of Exchange, I have to understand, hey, who's a delegate of who? I've got to make sure which groups should go together. So you've got to plan that data migration. Want to understand also the assessment, who should even be moved? What's in scope here? So those are all activities where you need your own expertise, your own kind of organizational domain knowledge, as well as those often turn into, I want to go into Exchange on premises, do some PowerShell, understand where the delegates are at, and use that to build up my plan. And what the data migration team is asked for, they're going to give you a migration template and say, all right, you tell us on this migration window which set of mailboxes you want to move. You're going to give them that list. They're going to go do it, monitor it, move the mailboxes, make sure they landed smoothly, and then you're good to go. And this came up in one of our pre-days, this versus the FastTrack data migration service versus some of the third-party tools. And there are pieces of data, I just list here, mail, contacts, and calendars. There may be cases where actually super important to you is to actually move archive mailboxes or to move public folders. That's the set of where you would actually look at this and go, well, maybe the right thing for me is that's so important to me that I'm going to choose to go a different path. So we've got to really evaluate these. Yes, the service is available, but you've got to look at your situation, what's important to you, what you want to get moved. And then for file migration, right? It's documents, it's the folders, it's the permissions, and there should be like 10 asterisks with that. We have to go kind of by depth and size, and there's specific limits on those. But ultimately, moving those things from G Suite, file shares, and box. And again, all the same things. In this one, the one thing we see here on the file migration is it's super important to get into the assessment and planning side. So everybody has this backlog on a file share of thousands of documents. Should you really move them all? You probably don't want to go fill up. This is an opportunity to clean out, decide, and figure out what's there. We just this week released a assessment tool for SharePoint on-prem to help you begin that activity. So deep dive on this this is 75 minutes of discussion of exactly how this works. What are all the limits in here? Session, again, tomorrow afternoon about moving your data to Office 365. And so Thomas Wicker and Tom Wazowski and my colleague Sharon will go through this in detail. So if you have data to move and you're thinking of looking at a third-party tool to migrate, come look at this, see if it fits your needs, figure out yes, and I also need these additional pieces to plan this out, kind of go into the eyes wide open. Okay, so we've enabled things. We've arrived, right? We made it to our destination. We've enabled things. We got users set up. My data's there. My user plan is ready. We've been kind of throughout working on that. And hopefully you're the hero. But we're not really going to be the hero until we go make sure the user is actually using this and actually prove that. So let's jump into the next section. And so if we think of tying this back to your journey to Ignite, actually now you're here. You're all here in this room, having an experience, probably getting out to a park, hopefully at least on Thursday night. I want to have some good experiences. And to do that, I'm going to need some resources. I need to be able to have my badge. I need to have the right access to things. I want to be part of the community. I want to make sure I know how this is working. And then ultimately, hopefully, we can keep you moving and we get you to come back to Ignite and be part of the community. So let's go ahead and look at how we do that. So you want to talk about the resources here?
Yeah. So when you think about really experiencing the investment, right, that you've just made in moving your infrastructure and things to the cloud, there's a number of different tools or resources that you can leverage. The first one, which I think is very foundational, is what we call the adoption guide for Microsoft 365. And you could take a look at that by going to aka.ms/M365 adoption guide. But again, this is your blueprint, right? As you start thinking about getting your users to adopt the services that you just lit up, it will provide you with best practices to drive the greatest amount of impact with those end users. It will also give you user engagement templates. So when you think about all the things that you might need, whether it be email templates or posters or what types of campaigns can you run, right? That adoption guide will really give you a strong level set as to how you should be thinking about driving adoption within your organization so that you can maximize the value. We referred to the productivity library before, and Brian demoed it as kind of a destination for IT to go and kind of play out these scenarios and figure out what scenarios make the most sense. There's also a productivity library for your end users to leverage. So it's a little bit more of a tailored experience for the end user so that they could then see, hey, these are the things that were lit up for me. How can I actually start using these, right? And so they're targeted to the end user. There's going to be a ton of different resources available for your end users to download so that they can, again, get better use out of those features or functionalities that you've lit up for them specifically. And then we have a vast number of training resources. And there's actually two specific links that you can go to, one focusing on kind of Office-related trainings, as well as related trainings focused on Windows 10. For Office specifically, you go to office.com/training, and you can allow your end users to really deep dive into the various workloads and scenarios and actually have access to a number of different videos, templates, cheat sheets, so that they could actually have the resources that they need to start taking advantage of these things. So there certainly is no shortage of resources available to your end users at least for you to get started on this journey to really help them or enable them to start adopting the different scenarios that you've lit up for them.
Yeah, and those training resources we talked about before in the success plan, that's where we partner together with that team and say, great, you're eventually going to need these, and that's how we surface those. Like, there's the web destination, maybe that works for your organization, or if I need to customize those, you can take those forward. Additional resource from IT perspective, super important. We had a plan, we've implemented this. How are you going to actually know if you're working? How do you metric this thing? How many are aware of the Office 365 Admin Center usage reports? Have you seen those? Anybody maybe on the session yesterday on this that Ann did. So in the Admin Center, you have I won't go in my tenant because it's all going to look dead because I just created it yesterday. But ultimately, you can see all up user engagement, user activity, usage, both at an all up level and then at a workload level. And the thing that was announced this week, we just added a new Teams workload view. But ultimately, you can now think back. Like I said, I wanted this scenario, and that scenario right now means I'm going to enable these workloads. I want to go in and see how many of my users are actually engaging in those. What kind of activities they're actually doing in that service itself. So this is that, how do I tie it back to a metric to know whether I'm doing it? So ultimately, this needs to be this is talked about in that adoption guide. It'd say, great, you go do these things, roll these out, use this as a way to actually measure your success, and it'll tell you if your adoption efforts are working, or like, wow, it looks like we rolled this out and we have very little use. You're going to go back and look at what we need to adjust to have success with that. And then, that is an asset. Those usage reports are straight up in your admin center. But if you actually say, I actually need some very customized views to understand a more granular understanding of what's going on, there's an Office 365 Adoption Content Pack and Power BI. Still in preview, but I think just later this year that's meant to go into GA. This gives you that ability to say, I want to go customize this thing. And again, I'll direct you to the deep dive session of knowing exactly what this is going on. We've already seen one of our customers, GE, take this and customize this and be able to get a thorough understanding of how their adoption is going. And it goes back to where do they need to make the investments? Is their adoption plan actually working? Are they really getting the value from this entire program? So
yeah,
it gives them an understanding.
One thing to call out for the Power BI report, what's really cool about it is it actually gets as granular as what department, right, are your users in who are actually using the product versus maybe which departments aren't. So you actually can have kind of a functional view to be able to target, hey, why aren't we seeing traction in HR, but our finance team is finding really great value, right? We thought it'd be the other way around. So it actually gets you that granular view so that you could really assess and then be able to pivot and target specific users to help them find value out of those services. So I just wanted to call that out.
I think it's a great point because that'll help you then, like, I'll go out to those groups that are doing it well, like I can learn from them and then go scale that out to the whole organization. So.
Then the next step is really all about socializing with your users, right? So you have all of the resources available to you, and now it's really about structuring the execution to really get your end users engaged. So the first thing that's probably the most important, right? And these are all various degrees of engagement, but the first thing you got to do is, right, drive awareness. How do your end users know that something has changed? And specifically, what's the benefit of that change? All right, so it's all about informing your end users, and we've actually provided in that resource section a number of posters and flyers and email communication templates that you can use to drive awareness with your end users. You also have the opportunity to extend that a little bit further working with one of your partners to be able to maybe customize what that awareness campaign might be. There might be other vehicles or forums that you communicate to your end users, and you'll be able to leverage a partner to maybe help guide you through that and maybe customize something specific for you. The second piece is helping your customers understand how to actually use the services that you've rolled out to them, and it's all about end user training. And again, through the resources, we talked about the training videos and things like that, but it's also about extending, right? Is there an opportunity to leverage in-product training? So there's different things that actually light up within the products themselves, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, to help understand your user's intent, and then be able to showcase some best practices or tips. You could also go down the route to bring a partner in to really help do some in-person facilitated trainings, right? We find that that's actually a really great way to land and expand the value of the services with your end users. You should also start to think about maybe an early adopters program. Being able to roll this out to a small number of users, but get that initial learnings from them, so that you could, again, plan to roll this out at scale, so that you're able to roll this out and maximize your impact. And then finally, again, depending on the complexity of your organization and what you're really trying to accomplish, focusing on organizational change management, right? Really coming up with a comprehensive plan to think about how do we manage this big change as we move to the cloud and light up all of these different services and value for our end users. And again, partners we have some really fantastic partners that focus on organizational change management, who can help really start the planning and then execution of this piece of it. But these are just some things you want to start thinking about, right? You're not done just by enabling the service. And because you have the insights, you're really going to be able to tell how can you help your end users find that value.
Okay. And you've got it up, you've hit success. The service continues to evolve, and there's some things on that they keep it moving, or staying evergreen with the service. Like very high level, think of staying ready, staying informed, and we go from the very public things, a roadmap and blogs and tech community where I can engage, to the message center where it's going to tell you, like, hey, these things are coming. Ultimately, as I learn about those things, I need to manage those, and I need to have a plan in place, how I'm going to inform people. You got to think of the other control in Office 365 is your release preference. Recommendation there is it's kind of like an evergreen early adopter program. And let's say, I want to give those features to at least this handful set of people. You can set that control to say, those features should roll out just to my pilot group or my early adopters. So take advantage of that. And then ultimately monitoring. So I think a lot of IT's things is like, hey, I moved to the cloud, I don't have to monitor this thing anymore. There's ultimately the usage reports. I want to make sure it'll be telling for how things are working. But then there's really the operational side. And a quick overview of that is an investment we made, a thing called My Advisor. So this started in Cloud Voice. But there's certain activities, so you can go to AKMS My Advisor, it's on the FastTrack site. It's currently for Cloud Voice, but it gives you these things of like, yeah, there should be a troubleshooting guide. There's ultimately things you should think about to proactively monitor. You're operating your Exchange or your on-prem SharePoint, you're probably doing these types of things. To have the best experience, we actually recommend you carry out some of these things. So these are available for Skype for Business today, and we'll look to extend that. But you can see here like hybrid management and operation guide, like same principle would apply if you're doing Exchange. You want to make sure you're operating and keeping that proactively going. So it's more like you're aware of the change and you're just staying ahead of things and not being just purely reactive. And then the other piece from a monitoring, don't think of it just quantitative, but also look for qualitative things. So if you have champions, you have that set of early adopters in your business who are most engaged, be talking to them. They're going to give you how things are really working, how people actually feel about it. Okay? So hopefully that gives you a glimpse on what your journey looks like to M365. Hopefully it helps you be able to remember this by thinking of travel things we all do, tying it into those activities. So let's talk a little bit about next steps. One thing we'll recommend you go get, single document, welcome to FastTrack, AKMS welcome to FastTrack. One document will give you this whole pitch, gonna reiterate, and I'll land this back with you. Obviously come the FastTrack site, get engaged. If you're just getting started planning, the productivity library is there, the success plans, you'll sign in from there, and ultimately engage with us in our FastTrack community on Tech Community. And then you want to talk a little about, if there are any partners in the room? All right, then definitely worthwhile.
Awesome, yeah, so for partners, we're not just making an investment in our customers, right? We also want to make sure that we're investing in our partners so that you can better serve your customers as well and make sure that this engagement is as seamless as possible and we can provide the best experience. So I'd encourage all our partners to head out to aka.ms/FastTrack opportunity. There's a number of different things that are available to you specifically to help drive deeper engagement with your customers, potentially offset some costs through some funding opportunities as an example. But it's a really great place to start, learn a little bit more about the opportunity, how you can start getting engaged, and to work a little bit better and more closely with FastTrack, so that ultimately we can help our customers that are in this room, obviously, be able to move to Microsoft 365 seamlessly and with confidence.
Okay. We have only a couple minutes left. We have a handful of Raspberry Pi kits. We have a few questions. We'll do it quiz style, and whoever we think gets there first or gives us the best answer, we'll toss these out. So we'll start with the first one. What are some things that partners can do to help you move to M365? So whoever's willing to answer that first.
Well, can assist them with the remediation, the assessment, with the remediation of the DB and something along.
All right. Well, great. Come up and I'll grab this. An answer over here. I'd like to hear the answers to this question.
One of the things I find as a partner,
Yeah.
we help along with, I feel like IT companies, a lot of these organizations, are not set up for understanding the governance piece and the requirements for their IT department's roles and responsibilities. So what we do is we walk them through the governance of Office 365 and help them identify the roles and translate their current roles to what it's not people, it's the responsibilities, because Office 365 brings so much else.
Right.
A lot of organizations are nervous about, do we lose people? And they're always, no, you're not losing people by going to the cloud. People are learning new skills.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, that's a good call out.
Sorry. Next question. Who's willing to go out on a limb and say 3 sources we'll migrate data from?
Box, Lotus Notes, iMap.
Yeah, there you go. That's an easy question for everybody there. All right, Matt, what's the next one?
All right. Where do you go when you're ready to get help? There it is.
All right, we'll give that one. Okay. All right. Any questions as we wrap up here? A couple reminders. Like, you've probably seen this at every FastTrack session. FastTrack is a global program to get you deployed, get higher adoption rates, and get you get more value from the program. Let's go ahead and. One thing I want to remind you, there's other sessions. You have a schedule builder to find those. But please do fill out the session eval. Do good for Red Cross, every $5 for every eval submitted. So really want to see that. And we also want the feedback, how things are going. So we'll be around here for a few more minutes and take any additional questions. But please come up with the mics if you have them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.